Hey guys, welcome to Split Screen. I'm here with Shawna Kelly, instructor in new media communications here at Oregon State. We're going to be talking about some games and her work and research. Is there anything else you'd like to say about yourself?
What else? I'm a gamer. I will admit it in public. And one of the opportunities to teach here was to be able to teach about video games, game studies, game theory, and really looking into video games as a serious subject of research.
I'm sure tons of people have enjoyed it. I know some people on the staff here have. So let's move over to our next segment.
Okay.
Mirror? Who's Mirror? Oh, this is going to be embarrassing. 200cc is nearly impossible to play this game at.
I haven't actually played this version of the game, so it'll be really fun to see what kind of upgrades they've done. The graphics way improved.
The graphics are amazing, and they got like a whole...
I say as the, lame loading screen goes by.
It's better than previous ones.
Very true.
This course is actually based off of a NES game. It's kind of interesting to see how they transitioned.
Mm-hmm. They finally got creative with the courses. I mean, some of the original courses were really straightforward and memorizable.
Mm-hmm. I do like how this game is very accessible too. Like, it's really easy to just pick it up, as I'm sure we're going to see in a little bit, because these people aren't very good.
Well, okay, yeah. But they'll get better, right?
Yeah.
That's the other nice thing is that the games don't last very long, so you have chances to improve.
Also true.
Or there's the cheatery.
As much as you can do. They did it a lot better with this than the N64 one, with the cheating.
So, in versions that I've played before, Wario is much heavier, and
He's still that way.
he's still that way.
Yeah.
All right.
He's part of the heavy class. You did your work analyzing how people play World of Warcraft incorrectly. Have you done any sort of research into how people play Mario Kart incorrectly?
I have not. Only lots of personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in World of Warcraft because at the time it was really new. It was kind of this amazing adventure that all sorts of different people were playing. Mostly a lot of people who had never played before. When World of Warcraft was first released, actually before it was first released, Ted Castronova, who's a big name in games, said, "This is going to be the most amazing game ever, that we're going to have at least half of, what was it, like half 100,000 people playing or something like that." It's a very big number for the number of players who were actually going to be playing it. But I think he said like 500,000. That's what it was. 500,000. And that was amazing at the time. It meant that everyone who'd been playing MMOs were going to suddenly start playing World of Warcraft. And the truth is that the projections were very little by comparison.
Mm-hmm. I actually saw that firsthand. I went to a launch event they had at Fry's down in Southern California, because I was living down there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the projected line was supposed to just wrap around the building. We got there 3 hours early. It was already wrapped around 3 times.
Yeah.
By the time they opened the doors, it was around like 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
And there was people that actually didn't get any games because they ran out of copies.
Yeah.
From Fry's and the warehouse nearby.
Wow. I mean, yeah, the first few months of WoW was, they just couldn't keep the servers stable because so many people wanted to play. And in its heyday, it got up to 12 million players, I believe, a little more than that. It's not quite there these days, but it took a lot of people. It was great timing. The technology was accessible. They had lots of different ways of playing the game for different styles of players. I mean, so Mario Kart is fun for just kind of short. It's fun for competition. You can do achievements as you're trying to open up new characters, new races, things like that. But and it's a very fun game to play socially with people who are with you. WoW had a lot of those components too. In terms of however you wanted to play the game, you could, okay, what's with the oil? That's cool.
It's a new ability. It just blocks everyone's sight.
You thought you wanted to see where you were going, but no.
It makes it a lot tougher than it would seem, because you can still kind of see, but you'll miss important things that are coming up.
It's a really good thing that the Wario players chose Wario, because he spends a lot of time bouncing off the walls.
Mm-hmm. At least he's not last. Also, the shy guy needs to learn how to power slide. Just saying. Oh, there you go. Oh. I think it's a first. And Mario's first. That must be Freddy.
Could be. Could be. So, one of the other things about WoW, what made it so popular, was it was released for both Mac and PC, and there hadn't been a lot of MMOs for Mac. And so it opened up a whole new market of people who were like, oh, I'm not a hardcore PC gamer, but I can play this game that all my friends are playing. And I talked to people who, they played WoW on dial-up. Which is that kind of connectivity really limits your interactions with the game.
I played on that for a while.
But it was possible to play. Maybe not so well. It was difficult. It was really difficult to raid.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what I was really interested in, my degree's in communication. So I was really interested in how people were creating collaborative communities. And how they learn to become gamers, especially if they hadn't been part of that before.
True. What do you think of, like, where the community's gone to now compared to where it was? Because back in the day, like, you could know nothing about the game and do fine, whereas now, and this is kind of a trend in a lot of games, is if you aren't knowledgeable about the game, everyone just flames you and attacks you.
Yeah, you're getting a big sigh out of me because there's no good answer for this. I mean, it happens a lot because if people put a lot of time and energy into a hobby, they become specialized and they want to show off the skills that they have versus other people's. Games are usually pretty good about labeling expertise. If you are at a high level, if you're in certain locations, if you have certain pieces of equipment. But sometimes that's not enough. People want to make a point by saying, you're not part of us.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played WoW recently, in part because the community changed, and I didn't feel that it was interesting to me. I started doing other stuff. I actually started playing board games.
Nice. What are some of the board games you're playing right now?
I prefer the ones that take an hour to set up and like 5 hours to play. So I'm big on Arkham Horror.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing Mage Knight, Firefly.
I haven't played Firefly. What's that like?
It's a logistics game, so you're picking stuff up and shipping it places and trying to avoid being eaten by reavers.
Nice. Sounds just like the setting.
Pretty much. It's fairly good, as it's hard to maintain a world. Look, Mario, you're kicking everybody's butt.
I don't know if you noticed, but this course is literally like 20 seconds to go around in a loop, and you go around 8 times.
As long as you don't get dizzy, right?
I think they brought it back from another game, but I think it's just such a boring course. This next one is awesome, though.
All right. Do you think the other players can give Mario a run for his money?
No.
No. Ouch.
Mario's going to run circles on them. This is one of the ones that added in this game where or it might have been the last one, but you don't go around 3 times. It's one long course. And then
Oh, wow.
this one's based off Big Blue from F-Zero.
That is beautiful and crazy awesome.
This is one of my favorite new courses they added with the DLC packs.
Yeah, one of the hardest in the original Mario Kart, I think it was the rainbow track.
They added that to this game. And it's just as hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly because
Because it had no bumpers.
and it's like right angle turns rather than the curves.
Yeah. Go, Toad, go!
Yeah, Mario takes the lead. No surprise there.
Everybody target Mario. Oh, wait. The computer's already doing that.
So, kind of going back to what we were talking about, what do you think of the benefits with tabletop games and kind of like games like this where you're playing with your friends compared to playing games online with random strangers?
Ooh. Well, that's a loaded question, literally. I mean, by talking about random strangers, you're also implying that they're not really friends. So, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in that. Playing games sets up a relationship between people. Like, you know what to do. You have some really clear goals. Either they're collaborative or competitive. And you learn a lot when you play a game with someone. You learn about their ethics. Do they cheat? Are they more interested in winning, or are they more interested in playing? There's all kinds of things that you learn about the psychology of the person when you play games with them. When you play games in groups, it kind of depends on the group. So I have some friends that I play really competitive games with because that's fun for them. And then I have other friends who would much rather play Pandemic or, you know, I'm board games here, but something that's collaborative, something that's more about us versus the game. And it just kind of depends on what they enjoy about the game.
My roommate's like that. He loves board games, but he prefers the ones where you work as a team against the game. One of his favorites right now is actually Sentinels, which is more of a card game than a board game, but it's you play a deck that's based around a person, and you're playing against a deck that kind of just plays itself.
Ooh, new people. Yes. I think that there's a lot of really fascinating board games that have been out there. So back to your original question, which was kind of the difference between playing games with a group of friends versus playing games online. Sure. If you are playing with your friends in person, you're going to have really different interactions than if you're playing with a group online. And it's not really fair to compare them because it is so different. I've met people who've created really close friendships with people that they play online. And yes, of course, the ever popular relationships that have developed online. But in playing a game with someone, you get that shared experience, which is a core part of being friends. They changed it to easy.
I know all about that actually, because the only reason I'm in Oregon from Southern California is because I needed a place to live after I moved out, and the only person I knew that would let me move in with them was someone I knew through World of Warcraft.
Yep.
And I moved up here.
Yep. It's amazing. And what I found more of, rather than, I mean, there was plenty of, oh, I met this random stranger and we became friends. But for a lot of people, it was, my brother went to another university, and so rather than call each other, do something like that, we'll hop on World of Warcraft and we'll play with each other. Or, you know, grandparents playing with their grandkids, because that's what the grandkids are doing. And Grandma wanted to hang out and be a healer, you know. If Grandma's willing to do it, then great. So, I mean, there were lots of people maintaining real life relationships. Speaking of the rainbow track, real life
This is the new one.
relationships. Oh no, this is gonna be painful. Anyway, maintaining their friendships by supplementing it, I guess, with real life or with game interactions. There's a lot of saving having to happen.
Mm-hmm. I actually have experience with that too, because recently I lost touch with my friends from high school when I graduated and moved up here. But then about 3 years ago, we all just started playing games like League of Legends and the new Heroes of the Storm game Blizzard came out with. And we're hanging out more than we did in high school, just playing those games online together. I had a question about that, but...
While you're thinking about it, I was just going to say, it's better if you change it up. Like if you only spend time with the 8 friends that you're friends with in an online space, you're really limiting your social experience and your social circle. But if you spend time in an online space and you also either have other friends or other experiences that happen either around games or doing other stuff, I mean, that's it's too much of any one thing tends to cause problems. But
yeah.
Using video games as a way to keep in touch with friends or to meet new friends, yeah.
It's one of the beauties of games.
Yeah. I still have some really close friends from when I was doing my dissertation research. And I keep track of them and whatnot.
It reminds me of the book Logis has its read for... What class is that?
Is that the T.L. Taylor book?
Yeah, the EverQuest book.
Yeah.
I think she mentions in there that she's still in touch with many of the people that she met through that study.
Yeah. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of the book. But yes.
Play Between Worlds?
That's the one.
It's a good book.
Yeah, TL did some really interesting work. She's a fascinating lady. She did some really interesting work basically saying, look, there's something interesting going on in this space. There are human interactions and all the things that go on around voluntary participation in group activities. And she was one of the early academics who was interested in taking games seriously.
Do you know if she did any work with World of Warcraft?
She did.
Okay,
She did. I think she's done some publications on that as well. She's at MIT right now, but occasionally she comes out this way and does talks.
I'm curious what her thoughts are with WoW compared to EverQuest. Did you play EverQuest at all?
I didn't. I managed to skip that one. I tend to pick a game and indulge in one game a lot.
Nice.
And then I'll be like, okay, time for a new game.
So what's your one game right now?
My current game is it's the end of the quarter and I'm grading.
That sounds like a fun game.
It's a real life game.
Wow, those are the worst.
Yes, they really are.
What was your last one game then before the quarter caught up to you?
My last one game, I'm kind of on a game hiatus, but I have been playing a lot of logistical games with my friends. And like the railroad games. You have a map and you have to transport things. These are the games that don't like competitive, so it's all about min-maxing how to pick up goods in one location and deliver them to other locations, and designing routes between them that are the most efficient.
Is there any, can you like block other players' routes in those games?
Oh yeah.
So kind of like a more elaborate version of Ticket to Ride?
Yeah, so Ticket to Ride is kind of like that, except that the paths are already established. So there's not a lot of variety. But this is the railroad. There's a whole bunch of them. Empire Builder is probably the first one. And it's just a map and with demarcations, and you have limitations as to how much of the map you can build on at any one time.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. What I like about it is that it's something that it involves lots of strategy, so it keeps my brain engaged while I'm just hanging out with my friends and chatting about whatever's going on.
Nice.
Or watching TV.
What do you... Oh, I just had a good question and it just slipped my mind because I got distracted by Peach winning.
Gee, let me guess. Peach was Mario.
How'd you guess?
Don't know.
What do you think of...
Kind of starting to feel bad for the other players.
Yeah, they're definitely
Although,
smashed.
yeah.
Oh, here's your favorite track. Original Rainbow Road, Super Nintendo.
This is cruel and unusual punishment.
It's enjoyable for us, though.
Oh, yes.
What do you think of indie games? And, like, anything based off that, like, the people making them, the almost, like, cult communities surrounding many of them?
Oh, there's so much in that space. So I think it's amazing and awesome that there are multiple-ish venues for getting indie games out. I think that really talented and motivated, there are really talented and motivated developers all over the place. And I think anyone who can push all the way through to actually make a game happen should be awarded, like, rewarded. In terms of indie games and the modding community, I think that there's spaces where a lot of initial concept work and design and development gets snapped up by bigger companies. And as long as that's happening in a way that's sustainable, that's good. But occasionally there are complaints that people are being taken advantage of. I'm thinking of, like, Daisy.
That's actually what I was thinking of too.
Which blew my mind when I saw it, because I'm like, this is excruciatingly painful to watch and play. But at the same time, it's oddly fascinating with how much detail the original mod had and just how difficult it was. So I jumped in, a group of my friends, actually a friend of mine and a group of random people on a Skype channel. We're all playing Daisy together. And so I jumped in with them, and they were basically narrating what was going on, the decisions that they were making, and why the game, why they were doing that. And for them, the thrill really was on the permadeath and just kind of the difficulty and the challenge behind it. But back to your actual question, which was about how do we all create a game and make it and turn it into a real game? Woohoo!
I like how Peach purposely stopped at the finish line.
Details. Shh! You weren't supposed to point that out. The other people might not have noticed.
Well.
Anyway, but yeah, so I think that that's a success story, because they took this mod, which frankly took a 2-year-old game, Arma 2, and moved it way up the popularity charts. I mean, it started selling.
Yeah.
And that company was making decent money off of this mod. It took that and turned it into a standalone game, which I think is, again, like everybody's dream. They want that to happen. And I think that there is becoming more of an openness towards that. It's a really difficult space to break into because there's so many fans. Anytime you have people who are really passionate about the work that they're doing and are willing to put in extraordinarily long hours because for them it's fun, that's difficult to compete with in terms of wanting a career.
Well, I'm guessing that everyone's tired of being beat by Mario/Peach.
What makes you think that?
Well, that was awesome. Thank you for coming out, spending some time with us. And for you at home, follow us on all our social medias, and we'll see you next time. Bye.